Hey, what's up everyone? On this video I want to go over some games I've been streaming. In this occasion, it will be the Ace Attorney HD collection games. These are really good games from Capcom. For those who don't know, the Ace Attorney games are visual novels where you take things in court, but I will go into details later. The first main game will be the Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney Trilogy. This is a nice collection of the first 3 games from the DS, which is Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney, Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney Justice for All, and Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney Trials and Tribulations. I have an import copy of the game since the HD Trilogy was never released in the West physically. You take the role of Phoenix Wright, also known as Nick. In the first game, he starts off as a rookie lawyer and defends his childhood friend Larry Butts. His mentor Mia Fey walks Nick on what to do, and this is basically your tutorial case. This case is pretty straightforward. All you really have to do is just read the dialogue and find the contradictions in the testimony. You could either press the witness for more information, or you could present evidence via court records. However, there are consequences when you present the wrong information. The real plot kicks in the second episode in Turnabout's sister. This is the introduction to Maya Fey, which is Mia's sister, and Nick's rival and childhood friend, Miles Edgeworth. In this case, Maya is accused of killing her sister and is up to Phoenix to prove she's not guilty. In the prosecution side, Edgeworth will be presented to debate the fate of Maya. The third episode is Turnabout Samurai, and I find this episode quite fun, since it involves going to this TV studio and investigate the murder of this TV star. The relationship between Miles and Phoenix develops throughout this game, and the plot thickens in the 4th episode, Goodbye Turnabouts. With that being said, the cover of the DS game really captures the 4th episode very well. To the naked eye, it looks like Phoenix is debating with Miles, but if you take a deeper look, Nick is fighting for Miles and his tormented past. They say a picture is worth 1,000 words, and it really shows in this cover. The first game also has a bonus episode. This episode is really long. I don't hate it, but man, this episode really overstayed its welcome. The gameplay will take place in 2 parts, the investigation part and the courtroom part. In the investigation part, you go out in the field and search for clues and interview possible witnesses. But the real heart of the game is the courtroom. Here you would listen to testimonies and find those contradictions. In the Rise of Ashes episode, there is a new mechanic added. This feature lets you examine evidence in 3D and look for clues. The second game in this collection would be Justice for All. I love the intro in this game because it starts off with Nick having a nightmare. The first episode is Lost Turnabout, which is another tutorial for this game. It reintroduces how to play the game for anyone who might skip the first game, and it works very well because Nick got hit in the head. He does get his memory back and gets ready for future episodes. The second episode is Reunion in Turnabout. Like the title suggests, it reunites Nick and Maya as she is accused of murder again. This episode introduces the Magatama tool. You could use this when you know someone is lying. You will see these locks, which exposes them of secrets, and it will help you to progress in the story. This episode also introduces the new prosecutor, Franziska von Karma, as well as Maya's little cousin, Pearl Fey. The third episode is Big Top Turnabout. This is quite the fun episode. Nick has to figure out who killed the owner of the Big Top Circus. I like this one. I think the characters were quite amusing. The last episode in this game is Farewell My Turnabouts. The stakes are really high in this one. Maya is kidnapped and Nick has to make sure his client is found not guilty, or else Maya will pay for his failure. This episode also has 2 endings, and yeah, don't get that bad ending. It's very depressing. The last game in this trilogy is Trials and Tribulations. This one is a very personal one to not only Nick and Maya, but a lot of characters in the main roster. The first episode, Turnabout Memories, is once again a tutorial, but in this case, you're not playing as Nick. No, you start off with Mia. This is a case that follow-ups on her first case as a defendant lawyer. She is aided with her boss, Grossberg. So yeah, this is a flashback, and we're gonna see a lot of it in this game. The second episode is Stolen Turnabout, and it's about the famous master thief, Mask the Mask. The third episode is Recipe for Turnabout. There's a lot going on with this episode. In a nutshell, there's a Phoenix Wright copycat, a French bakery, a lottery winner, loan sharks, the mob, and so on. The fourth episode is Turnabout Beginnings. This is another flashback. In fact, this is Mia's first case, the one that relates to Turnabout memories. This is also Miles Edgeworth's debut as a prosecutor. The events of this case will leave a big impact of the overall story of Trials and Tribulations. The final episode is Bridge to the Turnabout. Just like Turnabout Memories and Turnabout Beginnings, these events are related. However, this one takes place in the present. Nick's rival prosecutor Edgeworth and Von Karma aid him because the stakes are really high. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention, the main prosecutor of this game is the mysterious masked man, Gadot. He has a grudge towards Phoenix Wright and has an obsession with coffee. That's all the games for this trilogy. I really love these moments, characters, and oh my gosh, the music is so good. The next main game is The Great Ace Attorney Chronicles. I want to give a backstory about the games in this collection. It has two main games, which is The Great Ace Attorney Adventures and Great Ace Attorney 2 Resolve. However, these games never came out in the West for the Nintendo 3DS. But it was later ported in this nice collection. So unlike the Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney trilogy, you have the choice to pick any episode in any order. But I wouldn't recommend that, no. Unless you really want to spoil yourself in the story. And what I mean by that is, in Ace Attorney trilogy, you unlock episodes once you finish the previous. In the Great Ace Attorney Chronicles, it's available at the start of the game. This game has a lot of special features. I find that very cool. There's some art and video galleries, music and voice galleries, and also in the second game, you could choose characters to wear different costumes. There's also some extra episodes to choose. This game also has an autoplay feature that allows you to watch the entire story unfold without pressing a button. I wouldn't recommend it, to be honest. It kind of defeats the whole purpose of playing the game. I think the only benefit that it has is if you get stuck, the autoplay can show you what to do. Another thing to note about the visuals is that the characters are not in 2D sprites. No, these are enhanced character animations. Alright, I guess I should go in details about the actual game now. So the main character is Ryūnosuke Naruhodō. He is the ancestor of Phoenix Wright. The time period takes place in the Meiji period. This was at a time when the Empire of Japan went away from isolation and ventures to Western cultures. I don't know how much historically accurate this game is, but I do enjoy the world it has to offer. Naruhodō at first is convicted of murder and is forced to be on trial. He is innocent, but in this trial, this is where he gains a spark to be a defendant lawyer. Objection! Aided by his best friend, Kazuma, they both set off to London to change the law system in Japan. The first game in this collection is The Great Ace Attorney Adventures. The Adventure of the Great Departure is the first episode. I love these animations when you first start the game. The first episode is supposed to be the tutorial, but unlike the Ace Attorney games, you're getting a huge story, even for a tutorial. As I mentioned before, Ryūnosuke is accused of murder. His best friend believes he is innocent and will aid him in his first trial. It is worth noting that this game has multiple witnesses on the stand, instead of one at a time. The game adds a feature, whereas sometimes another witness reaction might add something to the court records. This could help you find clues in the testimony. Excuse me! The Adventure of the Unbreakable Speckle Band is the second episode. Once again, Ryūnosuke is accused of murder again. It also doesn't help that he's a stowaway in a ship to get to London. This adventure also is the introduction of a major character, Herlock Sholmes. This is a great adventure and I love the new gimmick, the logic minigame. How this works is basically Sholmes will have a breakdown of what happened. However, things don't look right from his logic, so it's up to you to see things in a different point of view to make sure his logic makes sense. After the events of this adventure, Ryūnosuke decides to become a lawyer. The Adventures of the Runaway Room is the third episode. Ryūnosuke has finally made it to the West. This is the first time he will be a defendant attorney in the English courtroom. This also introduces the jury system. Ah yes, this is where you press the jury. and sometimes pit one jury member against another in case the jury is in your favor. This episode also introduces Van Zieks, the antagonizing prosecutor, well known as the Reaper of the Bailey. I think he's pretty cool. We also get a minor cameo from Iris Wilson, but she isn't introduced yet until episode 4. The rest of the episodes in this game are The Adventure of the Clouded Kokoro, which is episode 4, and The Adventure of the Unspeakable Story. The second game is The Great Ace Attorney Resolve 2. The first episode will be The Adventure of the Blossoming Attorney. Once again, this is a tutorial, but you play as Ryūnosuke's assistant, Susato. She plays the role of a defendant lawyer to defend her best friend. The second episode is a flashback. This is a follow-up to a previous episode, The Adventure of the Clouded Kokoro. The final episodes of this game is The Return of the Great Departed Soul, Twisted Karma and His Last Bow, and The Resolve of Ryūnosuke Naruhodō. I won't go too in details about these episodes since there are some spoilers in some. But yeah, I really like The Great Ace Attorney Chronicles. The characters are very likable. It's too many to name, but I do enjoy the company of Ryūnosuke, Kazuma, Herlock Sholmes, Van Zieks, and many more. Also, I find it cool that sometimes you will catch one of the judges in casual clothes instead of his judge attires. So, out of the two games, which one is better? This is a tough one. They're both great games with great content for story. I'll say for beginners, try out the Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney Trilogy. This is a great franchise for Capcom. It has so many sequels, spin-offs, and crossovers. I mean, you even got Phoenix Wright taking it on Galactus in Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3. There's also an anime adaptation of the trilogy and a live-action movie. Before I wrap up, I would love to make some suggestions if you're into visual novels. I highly recommend the Famicom Detective Club games. There's 2 of them on the Switch, The Missing Heir and The Girl Who Stands Behind. I streamed them before, and I really enjoyed that experience of playing them. Anyways, that's all I have for this video. Are you guys fans of the series? Did I pique an interest for the games? Let me know. Feel free to follow me on the socials, like, comment, and subscribe. And now I am out. Peace.